So, before we roll into our Hans's actually thought out preamble topic for once.
Yeah, right.
What?
This is not the first time. The time you weren't here was thought out too.
I would like to ask Alex.
Hello.
What do you think would be Hans's worst quality if you live with him?
Is this going to be something that's going to make me feel bad?
No, it's not.
Hans's worst quality?
Yeah.
He's too clean?
What? No, it's not one of these like, oh, what's your worst quality when you go for a job interview? I'm too punctual. It's not one of these fucking shit fake answers.
I don't know.
I don't like the coffee he makes me.
Okay. See, I don't drink coffee, so
I don't think you make a particularly. Maybe I know I put probably more milk than the average person in my coffee, but every time Hans makes me a coffee, I'm like, this is poor compared to how I like my coffee.
But then why don't you tell me? Oh,
because I don't want to hurt your feelings. That's why I'm telling you over Discord. So I don't have to look you in the eyes while I tell you.
I feel like
he's gonna spike it next time. You know,
he's gonna walk downstairs and punch me now.
No, but like, we have been living together on and off now for how long? And like,
but you very rarely make me coffee when we lived at the parents.
And like, you've waited until we were on recording to air this grievance.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It's content.
Because you can't get too angry now because you know I'll leave it in the episode and make you look like the bad guy. So there we go, Hans. Alex is our marriage counselor.
I think this is really passive
aggressive. Hans, all you need to do is learn how to make some coffee.
Yeah.
Should I have brought my coffee machine down? Is that what I should have done? Huh. Okay, so I need to put more milk in your coffee, or just not make you coffee anymore.
Yeah, that also.
Make tea.
All right. It's actually the tea you made me was all right. It was better than the coffee.
I mean, is it difficult to get tea wrong? Let's be honest.
Well, you would have thought it was difficult to get coffee wrong. I'm trying to fuck that up too.
All right, Hans, hit us with your preamble.
So, in the theme of drinking, like in the game that we are reviewing, Afterparty, I have made up a little game for us to play.
Okay.
It's called, Is It a Cocktail or Is It a Sex Act? Because I don't know if you knew this, a lot of cocktails have dirty names.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I'm going to read you a title or a name, and I want you to tell me whether it's a sex act or whether it's a cocktail or whether it's both. Because some of them actually do share names, so there you go. Are you ready?
Yep.
Are you keeping score?
I can keep score if you want, sure.
Is this a point game or
Yeah, it's a point, so you can both say your answer and then It could be really shit if you both just answered the same the entire way through, but we'll make it work. We'll make it work. Okay. Whoever wins gets to do the intro.
What? No, that's my job.
I hope you win, Nick, because I can't remember it.
Think I can ever remember it.
Nick, we'll start with you. Three-legged monkey.
I'm going to go drink.
Alex, what do you think?
I think it's both.
Is there any both answers? I didn't know both was an answer I could give.
Yeah, I said that at the start.
Well, did you? Okay.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, I'm still going to go with cocktail.
It is a cocktail.
Yeah!
So 1 point for Nick. The three-legged monkey involves Canadian whiskey, amaretto, and pineapple juice. Next one. A Mississippi bird bath.
Alex, you go first. I went first last time.
Yes, Alex, you go first.
Sex act.
Yeah, I'm going to say sex act. I'm pretty sure this is a sex act.
It is indeed a sex act.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that before.
Filling a southern girl's mouth with Kool-Aid, making her get on her knees with her mouth open, and then dipping your balls into it.
I didn't know we'd get a description.
Yeah, you're gonna get the ingredients in the
My
cocktails.
thought was, if it's a cocktail, I'll put the picture of the cocktail up. And then I'm like, I can't put the picture of the sex act up.
Just put up there.
We'll get taken
No,
off
just put a
YouTube.
bird bath up.
Or just
Just put a nondescript, censored image up.
you can just go to Urban Dictionary and get take a screenshot of their pages. Okay, Nick, back to you.
Yep.
Spicy gringo.
Both.
Nick is going with both. Alex?
I think it's just a drink.
Both wrong. It is a sex act.
What?
The act of stuffing a woman's rear end with a volcano taco from Taco Bell and then eating it.
That's just a waste of a good Taco Bell.
Okay. The leg spreader.
Alex, you're first.
Yes, Alex.
I think it's a bit too obvious, so I'm going to go for drink.
Yeah, that was my thought was this seems too obvious to be a sexual act. I will also go with cocktail.
These are both correct. It is a cocktail. Tequila, vodka, gin, and rum.
Because no one rocks up into the bedroom and it's like, all right, baby, let's do the leg spreader tonight.
That also sounds like a horrible drink.
Yeah, it's really strong sounding, isn't it? Okay, next one, Nick. Anus burner.
Just like cocktail.
Okay, Alex.
Sex act.
It is a cocktail.
Yeah.
The anus burner is tequila, hot sauce, and a slice of jalapeno. That sounds fucking gross. Okay. Alex, to you.
Yeah.
Bloody Mary.
Both.
Okay, Nick.
Obviously there is the cocktail, but I'm trying to think, would it also be a sex act?
Hey man, I immediately...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to say just a cocktail.
It is both.
Hell yeah.
God, I don't want to read this.
You don't have to read it, man.
Yeah, no, Hans, the drink is disgusting, you're right.
To eat out a girl on her period, although unlike a rainbow kiss, there is no snowballing. Can I just say, I love the fact it just assumes you know what a rainbow kiss and a snowballing is.
I hate this with... What's the drink?
The bloody vodka and tomato juice with Worcestershire sauce.
It's fucking
Did you not know
disgusting.
that?
I did, yeah, but it's fucking disgusting.
Okay. Nick, back to you, I believe, yeah?
Yep.
Sex with an alligator.
Both.
Okay. Alex?
Just a sex act.
You're both wrong. It is just a drink.
Boo.
Damn you, Florida.
Raspberry liqueur, melon liqueur, sweet and sour mix, and Jägermeister.
That...
Sounds fucking horrible.
Yeah.
What the hell?
It sounded alright until you added the Jägermeister in there.
Sweet and sour mix is kind of like a...
It's what you get from the Chinese.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of. I was like, what?
Sure.
That's what they put on your chicken balls.
I'm going to say chicken balls is both.
Okay, Alex.
Yep.
Skittles harvest.
Both.
Okay, Nick.
I'm going to say sex act.
It is just a sex act.
Oh,
After eating Skittles a bag a day for 1 week,
a bag a day?
for 1 week, when a man ejaculates, it tastes like Skittles, and you can scream, "Taste the rainbow" as you come in a girl's mouth.
I don't think that would work.
No,
No, that's not how that works.
Of course, it's not how it works. It's not. I know the idea of screaming "Taste the rainbow" is fucking hilarious. Okay, Nick. Penultimate one. Flying circus.
Both.
Okay. Alex?
A drink.
You're wrong. It is just a sex act.
God damn it.
Okay.
A sex act in which a woman in reverse cowgirl on top of a man, and then they attempt to jump/throw her to another man standing by a wall. Sorry, not finished yet. Unbeknownst to the woman, the second man sidesteps and lets her hit the wall, leaving her lying on the floor in pain. Both men ejaculate onto her.
I like that little end sentence.
It's just the dumbest shit. Okay. Alex, the final one.
Okay.
Ass.
Could you spell that for me, please?
Yeah, sure. That is A-S-S. Ass.
Okay. Could you use it in a sentence?
Would you use it in a sentence like, I would like an ass, Mr. Bartender? Or would you use it in a sentence like, damn, baby, let's try the ass tonight?
You know what? Both.
I'm going to say drink.
It is a drink.
Yeah. Please, Alex, the technical term is anal when it comes to sex.
It is vodka and apple sours. And that's
it. All right.
Sounds ass.
Sounds like ass.
Boo. Brothers and sisters, welcome to the Not So Super Bash Bros presents Game Club for November 2020. Yes, Game Club is back, the monthly video podcast review thing, where we take turns picking games, go play them for the month, and come back and discuss them for your listening pleasure. This month, I picked Afterparty from Night School Studios, and as ever, I am your host, Irish Coffee, Nick Davis, joined by the Irish Car Bomb, Hans Davis.
That is racist as fuck.
And the nutty Irishman, Alex Proudfoot.
Hello.
All of those are
drinks.
Cocktails. Yes.
Yeah.
The nutty Irishman actually sounds alright.
It also sounds like a sex act.
Yeah, it does.
Yes, Afterparty, the adventure game originally released in October 2019 on PS4, PC, and Xbox One. How is everybody?
I'm alright, Nick.
I'm pretty good.
I have a question for you, Nick.
Okay.
Why did you pick Afterparty?
Oh, segue. I love it, Alex. That's why you're my favorite Bash Bro.
It's almost like we've been doing this for
nearly 50 episodes. I picked Afterparty because I really liked Night School Studios' first game, Oxenfree. And Afterparty had positive buzz around it. It was people really seemed to enjoy it, and their games have, like, Oxenfree really checked a lot of boxes on me, and actually, well, the writing was really well done, and I want to see what they would do with their follow-up game. So,
cool.
As ever, go ahead.
No, I just said cool. That's all I said.
Oh, okay. As ever, I was
Cool.
split this into 3 categories.
Nicholas, what are their categories?
Gameplay.
Alex, you're not gonna.
What? I haven't done anything in ages.
Yeah, sure. Last time I cut in sound clips of you, Hans.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You weren't here, so I cut in sound clips of the stupid shit you've said through the years.
Yeah. Jews, am I right?
Yes, correct. That was one of them. So I now have a sound clip of you just saying Jews, am I right?
I'm surprised you haven't put as your notification tone yet.
Oh man, don't tempt me.
Yeah, sorry, gameplay. Yeah, yep. Fuck yeah.
Story and characters.
Kumbaya, my lord.
Hallelujah.
And third category Is there a more accurate representation of drinking in video games than Afterparty?
Jubilate, everybody.
God, it's like a fucking BB. Jesus.
Yeah, right.
But before we get into the first category, I have to ask, as ever, how far did everyone get into Afterparty? I finished the game in, I think it was about 5 hours, maybe 4 to 5 hours. I think the gameplay on Epic is about 6, but I think I had started it previously and then restarted it for the show. Hans.
I got an hour to 30 minutes to the end, and then I hit a game breaker, and I was not going to go back and play it again, so I watched the ending on YouTube.
Alex.
I play 3 hours.
Sweet. In terms of where does that leave you after 3 hours?
So
had you got the 2 like rights or like seals?
I was just about to get the first one, and then something happened, and I just went, you know what? Nah.
Fair enough. So, first up, gameplay. Afterparty is a pretty straightforward modern adventure game, I would say. You navigate from area to area, and you just kind of play out conversations, and you make choices that sort of impact the story and the different relationships up between the characters and how they kind of react to you. Overall, I think this is probably the weakest area of the game. All the choices you kind of have to make feel kind of minor, especially when you compare it to probably the best comparisons you can make are games like the Don't Nod games of Life is Strange and like the Telltale games as well.
So, I have the transcript up.
The full transcript of the game?
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's on the Afterparty wiki. There's a full dialogue thing. And there's different reactions based on choices.
Yeah.
But it looks like outside of the reaction to your choice, everything's the same.
I know the ending does change depending on certain choices as well.
There's 2 different endings.
There's 3.
No, it's not 2?
No, there's 3. There's the one where you escape. There's the one where you stay and Satan relapses. And then there's one where you stay and Satan doesn't and stays on the wagon and goes to rehab.
Dumb.
I need to go all the way back.
So the first choice of whether you stay or end up in hell is just depends on whether you actually play the game with Satan or not. And then the second choice is, or the second ending, or whether Satan relapses or not, it depends on your choices you make during the game.
Yeah.
So, if you look at the top thing, for example, when you scroll down, so you get the first dialogue choice you get is, yeah, this is fun, or this party seems kind of lame. And if you look at the dialogue box, only really the reaction to that is different.
Yeah.
But then it goes back into, no matter what you pick, the conversation follows the same thing afterwards, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So no matter what you say, Allison will always say, who wants to get drunk?
Yeah.
And then, from what I've seen, just, scanning through it, no matter what you pick, the next line directly after, the reaction to that is always the same. There's no deviation. So it's there was always an issue with Telltale and, Life is Strange is, false choices. And I feel like this is, the ultimate false choice, because you feel oh, maybe if I pick this will go off on a different dialogue tree or something. But looking at this, it doesn't.
So I would say, yeah, you're right. I don't think the choices, in the grand scheme of things, I think the choices are kind of lackluster, but I also think they do a smart thing with the choices where your choices don't necessarily affect the story or the overarching story, but they do a really smart thing in playing the choices back to you and sort of psychoanalyzing your choices. Every time, so when you do when you come off to do the first 2 seals, there's either you can go along with Satan's siblings and do whatever they want. So the first one is you can throw the trial, or you can actually play along with the trial and get to where you and do morally the right thing. And like then they kind of, when you like kind of come out of that, your personal demon kind of like whisks you away to that like projector room and kind of like psychoanalyzes your choice and like what a terrible person you are for making certain choices. So as yes, it doesn't kind of affect the overarching story, I do kind of like that they do acknowledge your choices in the fact that, yeah, like the scenes will play out and the game will make a judgment of who you are as a person because of the choices you're making. Okay, yes, it doesn't affect this. It doesn't affect the story, but it does affect like your personal demon will hate you because you're a bad person.
The point where I never noticed the personal demon analyzing any of my choices.
Like, I think it like the first one you do is like you can choose who you get the invitation off, and like I think there's some like a small mention of it there of like, oh, you'd fucking help this guy arrest someone rather than help this girl like who actually had a personal problem. And then, like, as you do the other ones, you can, like, oh, so for one of the seals, you're like, oh, right, you can either help Asmodeus get his wife back, or you can beat him in a dance off. And, like, he was like,
that's where I did. That's where I got to.
Yeah, so, like, the guy was like, all right, so why the fuck would you do a dance off instead of helping this guy with his hugely personal problem? And, like, kind of just, like, berate you for being a dick. So, like, there is some... It's not like massive, oh, you're going to go down this path instead of this path, like you kind of get in some of the Telltale games. But I do like that they incorporate it in a smart way of, yes, the whole game is kind of a reflection of relationships and people's responsibilities and things like that. And wrapping your choices into that rather than, oh, you've cut yourself off from this part of the game because you've made a choice, I think is not an amazing way of handling it, but it's still a smart way of handling it.
But that's not gameplay.
It's not gameplay, but it is your choices which are gameplay making a difference in what happens. Yes, they are much briefer than what they would be in, say, a Telltale game. Yeah.
But this is my issue with this game. And like I have here in my notes, where the fuck is the actual gameplay? And I think this is why I kind of grew out of Telltale and these sort of games. Like, even with Telltale, like there was kind of like, especially in the later ones, there was like action set pieces, which kind of had... and some like slight puzzle solving and stuff like that, but this felt so much more like almost like a walking simulator.
Yeah,
with a couple of mini games thrown in the middle of it, and I didn't really enjoy it that way. Like, I feel like whenever it's trying to be more like a Telltale game, it feels it would have been better if they had lent just completely into like the walking simulator aspect of it, I think.
So the game I was like, in terms of what we've already played on Game Club, the game I was actually most reminded of when you mentioned the minigames there and how they are interspersed with the gameplay is actually Dream Daddy. Where it was a game where I felt like the minigames it had and like you encounter in Dream Daddy were actually all fairly like fun in the short burst, and you almost were left wanting more of them. And I feel kind of the same in this, where like I actually weirdly enjoyed playing the beer pong minigame. Like, the dance-off is a neat little rhythm game. And yeah, they are neat, but they are very few and far between in this. Yeah, and like that's kind of what, and like, yeah, I don't mind the narrative focused gameplay, like as much as you seem to, but yes, it's nice that there is those little distractions. But I feel like yes, you're right, for a more complete experience, there maybe need to be more of them.
Yeah, like I don't know, like say, I think it's because it's not advertised as a walking simulator. Like I feel like I would be I'm more forgiving with a game when it's just like, we're a walking simulator. We're a walk simulator. We're going to lean heavily into that. So they really do craft a narrative. This one, and we'll get to it when we do the narrative stuff. Like I just like the gameplay. I remember just sitting on my sofa and I was literally just holding left and then pressing A. I could have played this entire game with 2 fingers and nothing else. Do you know, like that's kind of like the level we were at. And I was at a certain, I think it was actually about the dance, when I was doing the dance off, I just kind of got to the point where I was like, where's the gameplay? Like, other than a couple of mini games, like there was no real problem solving, you know, which is usually like, at least there's some sort of like natural problem solving. And like, even like Telltale games, you know, of, oh, I need to put this with this. I didn't feel that from here. Like, I actually thought that the drinking bit, like you have to select a certain cocktail to get the right drunken option. would have been a good puzzle solving aspect, but it's not. It just gives you different options. It doesn't actually. You will always end up.
It just affects the writing, yeah. Like it's.
Yeah, you will always end up, as Alex said, you will always end up going the right direction.
I feel like that is an issue you could levy at a lot of these modern adventure games. Like you mentioned it there, like Telltale's...
We're not reviewing them, Nick. We're reviewing
True,
this
but
one.
like, it's not something that is completely new to the genre. It's why it makes the ones that do it right really stand out. Like we had this issue when we talked about the Council. Was that the game?
Yeah.
It had very little outside of walking the right direction and making the right choice, or then your choices decide where you go. And like,
but it had a lot more puzzle solving to it, though. I remember, like, you had to figure out which wings of the house to go at. You had that garden maze, had to follow through. There was more puzzle solving in there, which I appreciated, and it had RPG elements as well. Like there was that aspect to it of, oh, you didn't put the right point into culture, so you don't know about the tribes in India that these people are talking about over dinner. This doesn't
also had like the draw of the end goal of solving a mystery.
Yeah, but this has an end goal.
But like the mystery is like I want to talk about the mystery, like that is like solved halfway through this. That really pissed me off. Whenever we get the narrative, that really pissed me off. Oh,
but yeah, like I honestly don't think the gameplay is terrible. I don't think it's doing anything revolutionary by any stretch of the imagination.
I think it's a bit janky at times because the whole thing in the game is the dialogue.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. I noticed, this is one of the few things I noted down, that if you walk normally to your next objective, you actually pass triggers that starts dialogue. But since you continue walking, because you think, oh, this dialogue will just happen while I'm walking, you cut it off by hitting another trigger. And that like just seems to keep happening. So it's like, there's dialogue going, Yeah,
you actually have to stop and listen to it, otherwise you won't get to the end of it.
And that like breaks up the momentum, because like, say you're going from like one of the houses to get the taxi or whatever, and a dialogue triggers, but then as you're walking to the taxi, you have to stop before you accidentally hit another trigger that cancels out the dialogue.
Yeah.
It like, the momentum is really weird. That's just what I noticed, because like when I was going,
I almost interpreted that as a different way, to be honest, and like I actually kind of like that, because I actually felt like it actually made the conversation sound way more natural. Like you would be walking along, and like yes, two people would be having a conversation, and then suddenly someone sees something, and it does veer a conversation in a certain direction. Well, I would rather that than having to like then walk past another trigger, and then for that conversation have to finish, and then they play the next trigger. And then you're like, we walked past that like 5 minutes ago, keep up.
I'd rather it just didn't happen, because it's just... Yes, it, in some instances, it makes it seem like a more natural conversation. But in most instances, I found that the conversation wasn't really based on anything around them. It just, bam, changed. Because
that that annoyed me, because like some of the conversations that were getting interrupted seemed really interesting, and they were getting interrupted by the next conversation, which was about literally fuck all.
Yeah,
that pissed me off.
I remember I was walking, I think it was like the first big long walk you do, and they were talking about something in their past, like something kind of interesting, and then it hit the next trigger, and then they're like making fun of a drink choice at a party or something. It's just like, what?
Yeah, like the one
I don't know if you've met teenagers, but they have very short attention spans.
But like
the one I think of is it's when you're walking to one of the first bars, and like they're actually teasing tension between Milo and Lola, and you're like, oh, this is really interesting. Like, are they going to fall out at some point? And then I got cut off by them making fun of some guy puking, and I'm like, oh, so this character development has been cut off for a one-off gag. Joe, that's really dumb. That shouldn't happen.
I feel like if they had just kept in the main triggers and then timed how long the conversation would last, and just like not put any other triggers around that time, it would make it a lot smoother. Because like
you want to talk about glitches, Alex? Oh boy, I got a list for you. Can we talk about the technical aspect now?
Yeah.
Or so, although sounds glitchy, that is more just a design choice that is not perfect. I have actual issues here. So as I said, I got about half an hour to the end, and then I had a game breaker. So I actually reloaded the checkpoint, and it was still busted. So here are some of the issues I encountered. So the review scene, the projector scene, as Nick talked about, that played the entirety without any audio. Then it finished. Then it went to a black screen. And then it played the audio of the review screen that just happened. So I had to sit there for like 2 to 3 minutes listening to it after I just watched it. The voiceover sometimes got really, really, really low for absolutely no reason. So all the dialogue, like the background music was still blasting, but all the voiceover stuff got really, really quiet.
Yeah, I got that one once I think that was the only glitch I had was in one of the scenes with Sam in the taxi as you go between one of the islands. Yeah, like for some reason her taxi was super fucking loud, but I could not hear the characters talking.
I think I had that as well.
Oh, well, I had one where her taxi just didn't make a noise at all. So her taxi rolled in the screen.
Hey man,
and there was
taxis were different in hell. Electric.
There was no engine noise, no nothing, just missing sound effects. And then 2 bad glitches, which was I got stuck in Satan's door. So that was awkward. And then whenever, you know the way you have the map that lets you bounce between the islands, the map was really, really zoomed out. Like really zoomed out. And like I was like, I did not know there was a zoom button on this, but
I don't think there is.
There isn't. That's why it was just zoomed out to the point where I couldn't actually see anything.
Yeah. No, so the only thing that hindered my enjoyment would be like that audio. I think I had that audio dip you talked about once, and then that was it.
Mm-hmm. So wait,
I think as soon as I got to the next scene, it was resolved. So,
what did you play it on, Nick?
PC.
Alex, what did you play it on?
PC as well.
I played it on the Switch. I wonder if it's just the Switch version.
Yeah, if it's maybe a rough port. But no, like what actually happened? Like in terms of the game breaking bug that stopped you progressing, what actually happened? Was just something? It was something just not trigger.
So it was actually it's whenever you're after Milo and Lola have their massive fight, and you need your team for beer pong with Satan. So whenever you go to get Lola, I was literally leaving Satan's house to do that, and it was getting stuck in the door. So I got stuck in the door.
Okay.
Satan opened it, and I was walking towards it, and then it closed. Like the animation closed behind me, and I was stuck in the door, and I couldn't actually move from the door. Like I was running, but I was stuck on the spot. So I was like, right, I'll reload the checkpoint. I reloaded into the hallway, but Satan wasn't there, and the door didn't open, and I couldn't actually get out of his house to go get Lola to then come back and play beer pong.
Damn.
So that's how close to the end I was. I was literally recruiting the team to go do the final beer pong with Satan, and then I had a game breaker. And I couldn't bring myself to play through the entire game again. I just couldn't. I know it's only 5 hours, but I was just like, no, not a chance.
That's fair. Yeah.
But I will say something good about the gameplay.
Okay, go for it.
The drinking mechanics.
Yeah.
While simplistic, the idea that the different drinks made you talk differently and give you different dialogue trees and all that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Like, I we'll get into it later with the final counter, but yes, I like the drinking aspect of this game in its negative and positive portrayals of it. And yes, I think, the writing around the drinks and the different drinks you order and how they affect you are all very well done.
That's the only positive I have.
So is that everything for gameplay?
Yep.
There's not really much gameplay.
No, there isn't. So yes, story and characters. So the overall story of Afterparty is Milo and Lola are 2 kind of teenage friends who are coming to the end of, is it college or high school?
College.
It's college.
I assumed it was like,
or maybe it is high school.
High school because they're, well, it's 21 in America.
Yeah, which makes me think it is college. So maybe they're like young adults. Yeah, they're coming to the end of essentially a phase of their life.
Unless they're drinking illegally.
True. and essentially unexpectedly find themselves dead and in hell. And so they adventure through hell and essentially figure out that if they can beat Satan in a drinking contest, then they gain the right to go back to Earth and go back to their bodies. And the whole game kind of unfolds of you need to essentially get an invitation to Satan's party, and then Satan's like, oh, you need to get like 2 seals from my brothers and sisters to prove that you're worthy to face me in a drinking contest, and then accumulates in said drinking contest with Satan, with it playing out in a couple of different ways depending on your choices.
Mm-hmm.
And overall, I actually really like the story. Like, I think the overarching story is maybe a bit lackluster compared to the other things, but I really like how well they explore the dynamics of Milo and Lola's relationship and their friendship, and like that phase of their lives of, oh, we're about to move apart because Lola's going across country to go to somewhere else and Milo's staying in the city that they live in. And it did strike a chord with me. Like, I have been in those scenarios where, yeah, I'm leaving university with people and I'm probably not going to see them again, and then you joke about, oh, we'll stay friends forever, and then everyone just leaves because that's what university does. And overall, yeah, I really like specifically their relationship. I think is probably the high point of all the story beats.
I think there is a lot of missed opportunity in the story here.
How so?
So, don't get me wrong, I think it is above average, the story. Like, it's not just paint by numbers or anything, but like the breakup between, like the tension between Lola and Milo, I think could have been explored a lot more, because they have the big one fight and then they kind of see each other and it's like, oh, we'll still be friends, and then that's kind of it. You know, until you get to one of the endings, that's kind of it. The death and how they died is such an anticlimax to me, and I think the way that they died could have really, really played in well to their mini narrative, their kind of development. Like, literally, you play beer pong for the first seal. We do spoilers in the show, don't we? Yeah.
You also don't, but sure. You just play beer pong to get into like some guy's party.
I thought it was just the...
No, the first seal. Well, the first seal I got anyway, whether it's different.
Was it stacking? Is it stacking?
Yeah. No. Is it?
Yeah, the first seal's the sister, is it not?
Yeah, was that not the trial? Oh, yeah, then you go back to the bar and have the drinking contest if they're there. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And they're just kind of like, yeah, he died in a car crash. And like, there's so much mystery, and like, it's so like the start of the...
Wait, that's how they die?
Yeah. Car crash. So,
wow, that's pretty dull.
See, I kind of like that.
Why?
Because I like it because it is so just, it happens. Like, no one plans to die in a certain way.
I honestly thought, you know the intro scene where they're in the party?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been related to the death.
Yeah. But like, the fact is, like, they die in a car crash and that's just kind of it. Like, if it was just it was a car crash, I'd be fine. But it's like, they don't use that at all. Like, they could have had they died in a car crash because they were arguing about them moving away or whatever. You know, and then again, it's being used. It's being used because then that was such a massive conflict for them, it led to their death. But it's not used at all. The car crash, their death is just not used at all. It's just like, yeah, you died, fuck it. And I think it's such a massive waste. And I think overall, that is kind of the big thing in this, is like, it's such a massive, there's so many missed potential bits here. Like the slime Milo, or Milo's conscious, or whatever you call him. Again, such a massive missed potential there to really delve into Milo's character. It's like is it a self-doubt or something? Is that what it comes out of him?
Yeah, it's essentially, he like gets rid of all his, like, he vomits out all his self-doubt.
Yeah, like, and like, he becomes a bit of a douche, which is fine. But then he takes his self-doubt back in, and then that's kind of it. There's no character development from that, I don't feel. Like, why not be not a bit more of a douche, but like, why not let that lead to him being more confident? I just think there's a lot of missed opportunity in the story. The story's alright. I think it's above average, but it's just so much missed potential in so many things.
I would disagree on the death point, in that I actually kind of like that they're, like, at the end of the day, their death doesn't mean anything, because at the end of the day, everyone's going to fucking die. Doesn't matter how you go.
You're only saying that because you're a nihilist.
Possibly, but I also like that, they don't play into it because, like, it doesn't matter how they ended up there, like, because they were going to end up there regardless. And like, I like that it's not like, oh, you did this whole big dramatic thing and then you ended up here and it's each other's fault because you've ended up here at the end, like regardless of how you lived your life. So I kind of like that.
But you say that, but they still argue about things from their past life.
They
like
do,
the whole moving
like,
away.
but that's like that is true, yes. But it's also a case of it doesn't like they argue about things in their past life regardless of how they would have died. If they had died together in a car crash or together fucking jumping off a cliff.
What if? Because like, I was kind of curious. Like, so how did they die? Was like constantly nagging every time I played this.
Because they made such a big deal about it at the start.
Yeah, and then I was like, I wonder if it's going to be the reveal at the end that they died in such a way that they couldn't go back to their bodies.
Their bodies are that fucked.
Yeah, it's like they died in a fire, so obviously they can't go back to their bodies. Or like, you spend the whole game drinking, and then you find out that the night of the party that they were emulating at the start, they all got wasted, the house caught fire, and they all died.
Yeah.
And it's like one big circle of they enjoyed drinking and drinking cost them. And then like that's the big find at the end.
The big moral of the story.
Yeah. But like,
yeah, and it's such a letdown. I know. Like, I know Nick seems to like it, but I think you would be in the minority, to be honest, Nick, in that. I think because they made such a big deal about it at the start, because like that's literally all they say over and over again, how did it happen, and then they ask questions to everyone they meet, how did it happen, and then it's just like the reveal is just such a wet fart.
But you know why I like it is because it goes against the grain. Is you like so many stories that involve like, oh, this person has died and now they're conscious in the afterlife or whatever, is like, oh, I need to know how I died, and then it's always this big dramatic thing. It's like, oh no, I didn't deserve to go out like this and shit like this. And I'm happy that this was just like, you died in a car accident. It happens to God knows how many people every day.
But that's what I'm saying. You don't have to change the car accident factor of it. Like, but make it mean something. Like, but
that's the thing,
like,
is you're like, that's what I think that is the point they're trying to make, is your death doesn't mean anything. It is what you do with your life what means something. I think that they are getting away from that trope because you're not meant to see Milo and Lola as heroic figures or tragic figures. They are just people who were living their lives and they died. Like, probably God knows how many people every day.
Like, I don't know, I just think it's wasted potential. Like, a lot of the stuff in this, I think it's wasted potential.
So the other characters to kind of introduce they are more of your demons. So you have Sam, who kind of acts as their Milo and Lola's like personal chauffeur the entire night. You've Satan himself, and I think he plays, and I think his role particularly kind of plays into the themes of alcohol and alcohol abuse in the game, because throughout the game you're kind of given like hints that hell is not the place it used to be and has kind of descended into just
one big party. Woo!
One big party / like everyone is just very lethargic, and it's no longer like they harken back to like, oh, I think it's back in the days when people like Dante would write poems about this place, and now it's just like everyone just goes about their like 9-to-5 jobs, and they tie that into it's because Satan just now drinks all day every day. And I think they do a really good job at the end of like they build up the big, oh, you have to beat Satan in this drinking game. And then at the end of the game, like you're kind of faced with the moral choice of, do you indulge Satan and his drinking habits and recognize the harm it has caused him and his family, or do you try and help him? And I think that is a really nice like change on it when a game like it completely like the whole game involves drinking and using alcohol to gain advantages and things like that, and then to suddenly turn it on its head at the very end and be like, maybe you shouldn't have been like getting wasted this entire time. And like it kind of makes you look back. It's like, yeah, maybe alcohol has like ruined this entire place for a reason. I think it's a really smart like flip the whole story on its head moment. Which I know obviously neither of you saw the ending, so I'm probably just speaking on deaf ears right now.
Well, no, I did see it. Sure, I watched.
Oh, you watched the ending, yeah.
No, I do think it's clever. It's kind of like I said, like the theme of kind of coming of age and nihilism and alcohol abuse and stuff is really, really good throughout. I think like
I appreciate that it speaks on alcohol abuse and the effects of alcohol without sounding preachy.
yeah, because
that is something that is a very fine line to tread.
It's like because it has a comedic tone to it. I think that's why. It's like Rick and Morty. Do you know? I think the tone of this is very similar to Rick and Morty. They talk about a lot of things, but because it's done in a comedic way, it doesn't come across as preachy. South Park as well do a similar thing. But I just like.
I feel like the difference there is alcoholism tends to be the butt of the joke in something like Rick and Morty, whereas in this it is. Let's not look at it as a joke because that's what it's too easy to fall back on that. That person's drunk. Look at them, gag.
Well, the thing I think yes, but I also feel like there are times whenever they look at say Rick's alcoholism, and they don't look at it as a joke. Do you know what I mean? I don't think they look at his alcoholism as a joke. I think it's just it's a character trait now. But there are times like whenever you look at his character, like you look at like Rick and Morty, and it's like he is drunk, but maybe you shouldn't be laughing at this. Like the one where he tries to commit suicide at the end. But I think like the one thing that kind of gets me is only one of the endings kind of sticks with that tone.
Yeah.
Which is the one where Satan gets help.
Well, yeah. So there's the two endings are Satan gets help regardless at the end. Like if you decide not to play the drinking game with him. But then, like, in the, I think it cuts, 9 months later. And then it's Lola and Milo still in hell. And either, Lola comes to Milo in the bar and says, oh, hey, did you hear Satan fell off the wagon? Or, it's, oh, did you hear Satan completed his rehab and is all, trying to work to get hell better now?
But then, there's also then the third ending, which doesn't touch upon it.
Yeah, which is them getting out.
Escaping, yeah. I don't know. It's weird because I feel like it'd be better if you kind of saw it. It'd be more impactful if you kind of saw the outcome. I know instead of just them walking up to the bar. But no, I think to say overall, I do think the general use of themes and stuff in the meta narrative is very good, and it climaxes well with the beer pong at the end.
Bring back beer pong. Someone make a beer pong game.
Yeah, why has no one made a beer pong game?
There probably is beer pong games.
More important than that, why is there not more beer pong mini games in games?
House Party needs more beer pong.
You know what would be a great game? If they did a sequel to Bully, and then there'd be beer pong in that.
Set in college.
Like a university years. Yeah.
So, what I'll say about the story, and basically how you move through the story, I find the dialogue very cringy.
Yeah.
And that was the big reason I stopped playing. I just, the humor was lost on me. I didn't find any of the interactions funny.
Too old, Alex. That's
yeah. I'm probably too old for this game.
Old man.
It's just I am sitting there wondering, is it because, we are not young adults anymore, Alex? And
yeah,
I also find Milo and Lola both kind of unlikable.
Yeah, they were both really annoying. Because even when I was young, I was never a big drinker or into party culture or anything like that. So I was pretty indifferent towards that. And then their dialogue is just pretty cringy most of the time.
Yeah, I not just with this game, but in games in general, maybe it's because I've just become bitter in my old age. But it's very rare I find a protagonist now that I genuinely like. I don't know what it is. I just most protagonists. I'm just kind of man.
Especially the ones where Hans makes all the choices about the protagonist because he secretly hates himself.
I hate them the most, especially when I have to design them to look like myself. And I'm fuck, look at this ugly bastard, Jesus.
So as much as you didn't like the writing, I actually will say, one, I liked the writing. I actually thought it was very well done. But two, I also thought the game was very well voice acted in general.
Oh yeah, the voice acting was pretty good. It's just, I will acknowledge, the humor probably wasn't targeted for me, and all the dialogue and stuff. That doesn't mean it's not well written, because I'm sure people will enjoy it.
It just did not land with you.
Yeah, it's just It fell flat for me.
It's like when people write young teenager like in movies, and you're sitting there just cringing the entire time. But then realistically, if you ever listen to
that is how teenagers actually talk.
Exactly, yeah, that is how teenagers. That's probably how teenagers would have a conversation, and you would cringe if you listened in on it. Like, it probably is very accurate and very good, but being accurate doesn't necessarily make it enjoyable.
And plus, we're old, man. We can't relate to these young people.
I'm not.
Like, I bet you if I said VHS, half the people who listen to this wouldn't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Cocktail.
Scart lead.
That's why I keep bringing up sex. See, that's the thing. Like, I bring up sex as it's the only common communication I have with young people. that's the only dialogue.
That's a very bad sentence you just said there.
You know who likes sex? Me. And you know who also likes sex? Young people.
Not illegally.
Put your hands together.
Put your hands together.
Boo.
But yeah, the humor wasn't and the writing wasn't for me. Just to bring us back on topic.
Any final thoughts on the story and character before we move on?
I love the setting.
Yes, I really like the design of Hell and the characterization of Hell.
Yeah, the world was pretty good looking.
But I also just like the idea that Hell is just this place where you do a 9-to-5 job and then like go hang out for the evening.
Yeah. So my notes here, like, the look is cool, the world is cool, the designs are cool. It kind of reminded me of like maybe like a Tim Burton movie to us. Like the kind of the atmosphere was like a Tim Burton movie almost. Loved it. Really like the aesthetic to it.
So finally, the final topic I have is I want to pose the question of is this the most accurate representation of drinking in a video game? Because I feel like it is very easy for specifically like a lot of RPGs and things like that to fall on the idea of drinking is just this thing that makes your vision go all blurry and you can't walk in a straight line. So like things like,
but you'll get a charisma boost.
Yeah, or like and things like Fallout or something will add like, oh, you get -1 intelligence and +2 charisma for fucking the next hour. And as much as like, yes, that is pseudo accurate, I suppose. Not really, but I suppose it's a very rough approximation of it.
Was there not one of the games where if you drank too much you blacked out and woke up in a random part of the map?
I believe that happened if you played as Trevor in GTA 5. I think you could do that.
I think
occasionally Trevor would also just wake. So like this, I feel like this, and for Hans, you'll get this reference. The drinking scene in Red Dead Redemption 2,
yes,
where you're looking for Lenny, is like those are like polar opposites of the drinking spectrum, but both probably the most accurate representations.
Accurate,
so you have this, which is kind of like the melancholic. I drink because it helps me like in social situations and it helps me like deal with things. And then you just have the I'm going to get rip-roaring drunk and start screaming my friend's name all across this bar in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Whenever you brought up the topic, I was like Red Dead Redemption 2 drinking scene.
Yeah, that is also like in terms of like actually, because obviously like there's very few games that I feel like incorporate it properly into like actual missions, and it's not just I'm going to go stand in my apartment, have 5 beers, and then fall over. Like, but when it is like Red Dead Redemption 2 is a very good example of it. Something else that incorporates it actually into a story-driven aspect of it, and it's also it is the joyous side of drinking compared to the melancholic side of drinking, which I feel like Afterparty kind of deals with.
Skyrim had a side quest, A Night to Remember, if you got too drunk.
Yeah, I remember that one. I feel like that's the difference. Like, so like you're saying like the most accurate representation of drinking. I think like this one is the most accurate representation of like a functioning alcoholic.
Yeah.
You know, like it is like they are literally doing it for a social boost, or they're doing it literally just to get through the day, because otherwise they would just be a miserable bastard. In terms of like that, and I wouldn't know any that would use it in a gameplay format that would do it as accurately. But I've seen there's definitely been a couple of stories where like a character like Max Payne 3, for example, like he was like pretty much a functional alcoholic, but again it didn't play into the gameplay. It was just a story
there was no gameplay aspect of his drinking. It was just something that they used for the story
as his character. Yeah, so like I would say, like, I can't think of anything that would have done it as well as is incorporated well into the gameplay. But definitely, I think there's been, as a story beat, there has been some, yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah, now you think about it, yeah, there's like also another Rockstar game there, Max Payne 3, is just, yeah. They write alcoholics well for some reason.
Yeah, they do. It's probably the same guy that wrote Trevor and Max Payne.
Probably. But yeah, it's just, it's weird. Like, I feel like this is the first game that has properly tried to make alcohol a mechanic in a game rather than just some gag stat changes and blurry vision.
Fuck. What is it? Does it well? What was that really good? It's like point and click game. It was the RPG where you're a cop. Fuck, what is it? Oh, it's gonna really bug me. It got like 10 out of 10 on GameSpot.
The Wolf. Disco Elysium.
Yes, that one. It does it really well, and it implements it into the gameplay too. Like, it's more, again, and it's kind of a functional alcoholic, rather than like, so literally you would have to drink to like open up dialogue things, but not in a charisma way, more just in a, otherwise you just regress into yourself sort of way. Yeah. It's almost like you would use alcohol to get back up to what people would normally perceive you as.
Yeah.
So Disco Elysium actually does it really well.
Game I still kind of want to play or need to play.
It's actually one of my backups for Game Club.
Ooh.
So it is. So it's really tough though. Really tough.
The issue probably with playing it is it's a whole lot of fucking reading. I would say.
So it would make for an interesting video one, yeah.
So any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Nope, I'm good.
Yeah.
So personally, I really liked Afterparty. I think there are issues with it, but I feel like those are issues you wouldn't find in a lot of games of, say, this genre, to be honest. So I don't think you can hold them massively against it. And I think it gets by with a very, very strong story and a very strong character and some really, really good writing that is, I would say, some very, very natural sounding conversations and very, very well voice acted. But yes, as Hans mentioned previously, it falls back to there is just not a lot of gameplay here, and that's not going to be for everyone. But if you know that you're into games like this sort of adventure game where it is more narrative focused, then I think this Afterparty is a very, very good game with some very good tones and well-defined arcs in it. And I would highly recommend it. Hans?
I think this game is fine. It's not, well, I wouldn't call it indie darling. Like, it's not going to be one of these games that's just going to like blow up on like Steam or something because it came out of nowhere. I think it's perfectly adequate. I think the gameplay is non-existent, but I do think the above average kind of writing and themes is enough to carry you through. I think it's fine. I probably wouldn't recommend it, but I think people would enjoy it. But so it's fine. 5 out of 10.
Alex?
I feel like this is one of those games that if you like it, you'll have already known about it beforehand. Because you'll either follow the developer or this kind of game is like your jam. But for me, the writing wasn't there. Didn't enjoy the humor. It just like, I'm not its targeted audience. So, yeah. That's all I can really say about it.
Overall, listen to me, not the other two. That's what I say. For fans of the genre, even though I hate that phrase. No, I think there is an audience for this game, and it's not going to be everyone, essentially. Like,
it's weird because like,
you're going to know, like, from the outset, you're going to know if you like this game or not.
But it's weird because I enjoy walking simulators, so I thought I would have enjoyed this, but I just.
But you're an out of touch old man, though.
Well, that could be it. Maybe I'm not in the target audience.
I typically don't enjoy walking simulators, so.
Yeah, you didn't play the best game we've ever played on Game Club.
I mean, I did for an hour.
Sure, yeah.
And I immediately knew that I didn't like it.
What are you talking about?
Outer Wilds.
Oh, right, yeah.
So, before we wrap it up for the evening, Alex.
Hello.
We're already in December because we've been putting this off for a while for some reason.
Yeah.
But we will be back at the end of January. What will we be talking about by then?
So, this game is on Game Pass. And we're going to Zero. Yakuza Zero.
Nice. I had started this game previously and then never really got in, never finished it. So I got really distracted with a slot car racing minigame.
So I haven't played any Yakuza games. All I've seen are...
I don't think any of us have played any Yakuza minigame or games.
So I've only seen the GIFs and the memes. And Zero is apparently one of the best ones. And it also is the start of the timeline.
Yeah.
So I figured, well, let's just start there.
Fair enough. I did just buy the new Yakuza game, but I guess I can put that in the back burner for now.
But they're two completely different games.
Yeah, they are.
The one
one is a brawler, one is a JRPG. So yes, join us at the end of January. We'll be talking about Yakuza Zero. But for now,
but before that, Nick, join us before that at the end of December, start of January for our Game of the Year coverage.
Yeah, do that. Join us.
Why do you not sound excited about it?
Fucking interrupting my flow, man. You don't know when they'll be watching this. It could be yesterday.
But then you're saying join us in January. That could be January 2025.
Yeah, and they'll be like, oh, I wasn't expecting this game, but this game sounds cool. All these men are dead. It's the year 3006.
My game of the year for 2025 is going to be Cyberpunk Zero.
It's going to be Cyberpunk 2077 whenever it finally comes out. Whenever it's actually in a runnable state. Oh, shit. I went there.
Oh, man.
And it's not giving game reviewers epileptic fits.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
You know what? Just because they feel it being human beings doesn't mean that's the
right. Let's when you purposely in your game put the same mechanic the doctors use to trigger epileptic fits in people, you're maybe not thinking around the right area.
I mean, I'm just saying, I don't take epileptic fits, so...
Imagine that this is the game you discover that you have epilepsy hands, and I will laugh at you while you fucking
if Pokemon
freak out on your bed.
This isn't gonna...
You'll be screaming for help from your bedroom, and I will laugh.
I don't think you understand how epileptic fits work if I'm going to be screaming for help during one.
So yes, join us in January. We're going to be talking about Yakuza Zero. But for now, it's goodbye from Hans.
Have a good one.
A goodbye from Alex.
Goodbye.
A goodbye from myself. See you next time. Rest in peace, Hawaii.